Ladies and gentlemen, they say every house divided against itself cannot stand. And in the grand mansion that is Zanu PF, the walls are starting to crack like a poorly constructed Harare road after the first rain. This time, the tremor comes not from the opposition, not from sanctions, and certainly not from any Western sponsored NGO, but from an internal war over one man. Kudakwashe Queen Bee Tagwirei. Yes, the billionaire fuel baron tender overlord and suspected political sugar daddy just got unceremoniously booted out of a central committee meeting. And oh, what a spectacle it was. Think of it as the Godfather Zanu PF edition, where the mafia dons are dressed in Liberation War camouflage and dripping in Swiss watches. But let's not oversimplify this elite circus. Here's the thing. Before the ejection, there was chaos backstage. Inside sources, and not the imaginary kind Zanu PF uses to arrest journalists, reveal that Obed Mpofu and Patrick Chinamasa nearly tore each other's reputations apart over the co-option of Tagwirei. Mpofu, a man so legendary he once claimed to be the richest civil servant in Zimbabwe, drew first blood with a secular on the 5th of June, slamming the door shut on Tagwirei's fast-tracked ascent. Then 25 days later, in what could only be described as a political hold my beer moment, Chinamasa snatched the script, tore it up, and sent a counter-secular on June 30th, trying to sneak Tagwirei back into the ranks like a dodgy fuel deal hidden in a procurement budget. The drama goes as far back as March, when Godwill's Masemirembwa, yes, that Godwill's, the man known more for questionable deals than sound political judgment, tried to stuff Tagwirei into the Central Committee via the Harare Provincial Coordinating Committee. A structure so constitutionally irrelevant, it might well have been a WhatsApp group. Tagwirei, sipping wine in Borodale, was conveniently picked to replace a late member from another administrative district. A move as illegal in Zanu PF's books as remembering that Webster Shamu was once expelled for vote buying in 2015. Let's not even mention the Gutu roots excuse Masvingo tried to pull, because in Zanu PF, ancestral roots apparently come with fuel coupons and Chinese tractors. But here's where the plot thickens like gravy at a state house banquet. The provincial scramble wasn't about loyalty or merit. It was about Tagwirei's wallet. That bottomless pit of political anesthesia. Harare and Masvingo wanted a piece of him not for his ideas, but for his money, influence, and the unspoken promise of tenders flowing like diesel from a Sakunda Tenga. He wasn't joining politics. Politics was joining his empire. Now, while Chinamasa played Captain Seve Tycoon, trying to bend rules, party seniority, and probably time itself to protect his friend, Obed Mpofu stood his ground like a pensioner guarding his Zubkov seat. You see, Mpofu isn't just some dusty old war veteran. He's a ZANU PF Secretary General and fifth highest ranking officer in the party, behind Emerson, Chiwenga, Mohadi, and Opa, the Iron Lady, Mchinguri. And liberation struggle credentials are currency in this political jungle. Chinamasa's rebellion, therefore, wasn't just about Tagwirei, it was a declaration of war against party hierarchy. And in ZANU PF, that's one way to get your political obituary printed early. But wait, there is more. As Mpofu doubled down, he brought in Chiwenga, the man whose loyalty to Mnangagwa has always been more of a chess match than a brotherhood. Chiwenga, like a military surgeon, sliced through the political theater and ejected Tagwirei in full view of over 300 Central Committee members. If this were a movie, it would be called the Page Tenderpreneur Edition. Even more poetic, Chinamasa, the very man who tried to save Tagwirei, was ordered to drag him out. Alongside Mpofu, Love Matuke, and Mnyaradzi Machacha, they carried out what could only be described as a choreographed humiliation, like a gospel choir singing Go Back to Borodale. It was brutal, it was biblical, and it was Chiwenga saying, "Not on my watch, not in my party, and definitely not in 2030. What's shocking, however, is that a day earlier in the Politburo meeting, Tagwirei's co-option had seemingly been approved by consensus. How do you go from political prince to persona non grata in less than 24 hours? Welcome to Zanu PF, where loyalty is negotiable, memory is short, and power is always in flux. And then came the cherry on top. Mnangagwa, after a strategic meeting with Chiwenga, publicly denounced Zvigananda, a term now synonymous with the tenderpreneur cabal that includes, you guessed it, Tagwirei. This is the same Mnangagwa who months ago was smiling for pictures with Tagwirei like a proud uncle at a graduation party. But politics has no permanent friends, only permanent interests. That Zvigananda slogan was Mnangagwa's way of politically sanitizing himself while preparing for a post-Tagwirei, post-scandal, post-Chiwenga showdown for 2030. Meanwhile, the confused silence across Zanu PF is louder than a Chinese-funded stadium opening. Party members don't know whether to salute Chiwenga or wait for another U-turn from the president. And to manage the confusion, party spokesman Christopher Mutsvangwa emerged with his trademark waffle, insisting that Mnangagwa and Chiwenga are inseparable. Which is funny because even Siamese twins would have more visible unity than this factional mess. And now Tagwirei, once considered the moneybag behind Mnangagwa's 2030 dreams, is politically homeless. A billionaire without a base, a kingmaker without a kingdom. His dreams of controlling the party through sheer financial muscle have been shattered like a Chinese cell phone dropped on a pothole. So, where does this leave Zanu PF? In chaos, of course. The kind of chaos that happens when the people who brought you into power now want you out. The co-option saga isn't just about one man's expulsion. It's a preview of a deeper, bloodier succession battle. Mnangagwa's days of political tightrope walking are catching up with him. Chiwenga is no longer whispering, he is roaring. And Tagwirei is now learning that in Zimbabwean politics, even a $1 billion net worth can't buy constitutional legitimacy. Ladies and gentlemen, do you remember Pastor Ian Lovu's prophecy about swimmers? When he was trying to explain the prophecy, he said, "No, a young man will not be allowed to come in. If he dares come in, they will tear him into pieces." Go and listen to Pastor Ndlovu's prophecy. It looks like the young man that was being talked about is not Nelson Chamisa, it's Tagwirei. So the fourth swimmer isn't going to be Tagwirei. The fourth swimmer might be Philip Valerio Sibanda. Just food for thought. To the viewers at home, buckle up. This is just the beginning. The Zvigananda are being paged. The faction knives are sharpened. And 2030 isn't just an election year. It's Judgment Day. Are they going to fight back? If so, are they going to buy the DCCs? How will Tagwirei make a comeback after this humiliation? Let's just wait and find. If you are loving this raw, unfiltered, satirical dissection of the madness that is Zimbabwean politics, do the only logical thing. Smash that subscribe button. Ring the bell like it's Chiwenga calling an emergency Politburo meeting. and share this with every fellow citizen tired of diesel-driven democracy. Zimwaves TV, where we don't just report the news, we roast it until it surrenders.
Mnangagwa ari muhomwe ya wikinero, iyera ari muhomwe yechigananda. Zanu iri muhomwe makuda kwashe, ona iri muhomwe yezvigananda. Unoitonga seiko nyika iyi, iwe uri momwe yegoronyera. Unoitonga seiko Zimbabwe, iwe chiwepu chenunzva tunzva. Nyika yedu yaenda kumawere, mutserendende uya wepanhanzva. Padukuduku varakashi vanonyora, mamuona here wikinero wedu. Pano nepano mazanu anoti, kuda kwashe Tagwirei yakapenga. Unoitonga seiko nyika iyi, iwe uri momwe yegoronyera. Unoitonga seiko Zimbabwe, iwe chiwepu chenunzva tunzva. Nyika yedu yaenda kumawere, mutserendende uya wepanhanzva. Mnangagwa ari muhomwe ya wikinero, iye ari muhomwe yechigananda. Zanu iri muhomwe makuda kwashe, ona iri muhomwe yezvigananda. Unoitonga seiko nyika iyi, iwe uri momwe yegoronyera. Unoitonga seiko Zimbabwe, iwe chiwepu chenunzva tunzva. Nyika yedu yaenda kumawere, mutserendende uya wepanhanzva. Hande itese tese varida yasipora, tinobvisa Mnangagwa nezvigananda. Huyai mose vechipinge nekwaseke, chigananda chetinetsa muZimbabwe. Unoitonga seiko nyika iyi, iwe uri momwe yegoronyera. Unoitonga seiko Zimbabwe, iwe chiwepu chenunzva tunzva. Nyika yedu yaenda kumawere, mutserendende uya wepanhanzva. Mnangagwa ari muhomwe ya wikinero, iye ari muhomwe yechigananda. Zanu iri muhomwe makuda kwashe, ona iri muhomwe yezvigananda. Unoitonga seiko nyika iyi, iwe uri momwe yegoronyera. Unoitonga seiko Zimbabwe, iwe chiwepu chenunzva tunzva. Nyika yedu yaenda kumawere, mutserendende uya wepanhanzva. Mnangagwa ari muhomwe ya wikinero, iye ari muhomwe yechigananda. Zanu iri muhomwe makuda kwashe, ona iri muhomwe yezvigananda. Unoitonga seiko nyika iyi, iwe uri momwe yegoronyera. Unoitonga seiko Zimbabwe, iwe chiwepu chenunzva tunzva. Nyika yedu yaenda kumawere, mutserendende uya wepanhanzva. Padukuduku varakashi vanonyora, mamona here wikinero wedu. Pano nepano mazano anoti, kuda kwashe Tagwirei yakapenga. Unoitonga seiko nyika iyi, iwe uri momwe yegoronyera. Unoitonga seiko Zimbabwe, iwe chiwepu chenunzva tunzva. Nyika yedu yaenda kumawere, tese varida yasipora tinovisa Mnangagwa nezvigananda uyaimose vechipinge nekweseke chigananda chetinetsa muZimbabwe unoitonga seiko nyika iyi iwe uri mumwe yegoronyera unoitonga seiko Zimbabwe iwe chiwepu chenunzva tunzva nyika yedu yaenda kumawere mutserendende uya wepananzva Mnangagwa ari muhomwe yawikinero iye rari muhomwe yechigananda Zanu iri muhomwe makuda kwashe ona iri muhomwe yezvigananda unoitonga seiko nyika